Hey, everybody. Okay, so you're going to have to let me know if you can hear me, because you know how I am with these streams, They're not my, hello. If somebody could just let me know if you can hear me, that would be fantastic. Let's see, comments. There we go. Just give me a yes, can hear you, just something to let me know that you can hear me. Great. Thank you, Gail. Yay, Gina. Awesome, Wendy. Hello. Girl. I love it. Okay. Okay, here's the thing. Let me grab my mouse. Hi. Oh my gosh. So this, I'm not going to say it because I'll jinx myself, but so far, this live, we're like 30 seconds into it, has gone a little smoother than most of mine do. So hello. I'm so glad you're here. I think, I don't know if I need to introduce myself, but hi, I'm Christy. And today is a pretty exciting day because although it's snowy out there and dreary and wintry, it's an exciting day because something that I've been working on for over a year is getting so close to being a thing. I mean, it is a thing. Some of you have seen, I've released a few peeks, but there she is. Now, I'm going to switch cameras here soon and just start painting, and you don't have to look at this for too long. But this is my palette, friends. Yeah. Here's a look. The light is really strong. There she is. Make art for joy's sake. I'm just super jazzed about her. So let me just tell you, if you're newish here, maybe you have my brush set, maybe you found me on YouTube. I know I'm also streaming to Facebook. Hi. Let me just tell you the story briefly as I could possibly be. So in 2017, I believe it was, I partnered with a brand company, kind of a go-between manufacturer of art supplies. And they really wanted to partner with artists who had some clout in the industry and create a collection of art supplies. And it was so exciting, and it was being pitched to Michaels. And before I knew it, I was literally just doing a brain dump of my heart's content of what I would want a Christy Rice art supply collection to look like. And before I knew it, I was in Texas, and we were in the Michaels, test showroom, and we were setting up this, multi-million-dollar collection that was going to be in all 1,600 stores and blah, blah, blah. And we were this close to signing on the dotted line. And many of you have heard this story. And my collection went from being like the coolest thing ever. We're doing this. We love you. We can't wait to get you in our stores too. We're nervous. We're going to just do something really safe, like batteries on the end cap that you are supposed to occupy. So anyway, I spent a few years just digging into my other business, my wedding stationery business, which is still alive and well. Amen. And I spent years feeling bad for myself and pouting about it, being super sad. And then pandemic 2020 hit. And, what better time to jump into a project that costs a lot of money and is very risky than in a year of pandemic? Yeah. So I decided to do that and developed the Art for Joy's Sake brush collection, which are these lovelies. And your response to these brushes has been just mind-blowing. But what many of you don't know is that this palette was actually in development. I had a prototype of it before the brushes even launched. But for so many reasons, I decided to launch the brushes first. and then wait for the palette. And so I have the final prototype. It's Chinese New Year right now, so production will begin in February and we will be launching in March. So I am going to flip cameras and I'm just going to paint. We're going to chat. We're going to paint. I'm going to tell you all about all of this. You're going to hear my dogs bark. You're probably going to hear my baby cry because I work from home and it is what it is. And you can ask all the questions and I'm going to do a few demos and we're just going to have a good time. I do have a script, but I'm really bad at following scripts. Wait, there it is. There's my script. It's like that long. There's nothing. Whatever. All right, let's flip this around. Let's see how that view looks. Can y'all still hear me? That's the biggest question. Can y'all still hear me? Because, yeah. Let me look at these. Hello from Poland. Hello, Miss Angie's classroom. It's the Christy Rice way. Hi, Laura. My long time, almost lifetime friend Laura is here with us. Yay. Okay, let's see here. You hear me good. My daughter's birthday is in March, so it's a perfect gift for her or me. I think both. Yes, dying to get them. Cannot wait until March. I cannot wait till March. It's ridiculous. I just bought the Art for Joy's Sake journal and I love it. Oh, good, Britt. Awesome. I love that, Brett. We're jazzed about your new palette. I love your brushes. Okay, let's do this. When do we get to purchase it, Sue? It'll be March. It's honestly probably going to be towards the end of March. You know, shipping from overseas is super kind of weird right now. Unpredictable, unreliable, all the things. All right, we're getting to it. I want to make sure. Okay. Can I ask, is the image the right way for y'all? Like, is it the right way? I don't know what I did wrong. I feel like I did something wrong. But when you're looking, like, is it upside down? Like, hi, if I'm painting. Is it upside down? Let me know. My brushes arrived in the UK yesterday. Gonna use them now. Yay. Awesome, Lorna. Love it. I think it's upside down. Of course. Let me know if it is upside down. Yeah. Turn image background. You know, can you turn it upside down? No, it's wrong. Yeah. I'm gonna I don't know why it's wrong, and I don't want to completely reset, so I'm just gonna paint in a way that is multi-directional. So the box is right side up now, correct? Let me know. Honestly, what I'm painting today is, it doesn't matter if it's right side up or upside down. So hello, Audrey. Laura, great question. Can you pre-order? Please do more of your own paintings. That's it. It's right side up now. Good. Yeah. So I'm just going to paint in a way that doesn't matter. My daughter says she should be an art teacher at school. Honestly, that's what my degree is in. I have a degree in art education. I was certified in Pennsylvania. Okay, good. Box is right set up now. Just take my money now, Brenda. It's okay if you're late. Hello. Okay, coolio. Okay, so let's get into it. This is the box, but I will share something with you, because here's the thing, friends. I kind of see y'all as like part of my final development. I really do. And so I want to show you what I'm thinking. So this is the box, and it's just kind of like a thinner, like a normal cardstock box, right? And I just didn't think it was enough, and I just ripped it. So it's cute. I love the design so much, but I have it upside down again. But it's just too thin. right? I just feel like I know how Amazon treats products. They package them in the most cheap, cost-effective way. So we are moving to, now this is another brand. This is an art palette that I got for Christmas, the Art of Soil. And we are moving to a box like this, which, listen, it's corrugated cardboard. Like, it's so much better, so much more durable. Whereas this one is just like, I don't know. So anyway, I love the packaging so much. Little sketch of the palette. But I think we just needed to go to a heavier box. So what do y'all think? Heavier box? The other thing too is, like, I personally sometimes like to use these boxes and keep my palettes in these boxes. So yeah, so I kind of feel like that's the way to go. Stream is still working for me. The image went blurry. The flower palette. Okay. Okay. Image went blurry. Anyone else frozen? I love your videos. I paint with watercolors too. Okay. Just let me know, because, you know, it's streaming. So it's heavy box, right? Image is blurry. Is that better? Okay. Well, we'll run with it. So yeah, we're going to definitely go with the heavier box. All right. So the QR code, there's going to be another QR code, right? Yeah, the heavy box. Yeah. You're going to get an hour-long tutorial, just like you did with the brushes, but it's going to be specific to the palette. I'm actually going to do one of those color mixing grids, which you never see me do because it's not my jam. However, I'm pretty proud of the range of this palette. So we are going to do a paint along color mixing grid. So you'll be able to scan that when you receive these, my letter to you, all the fun stuff. So yeah, there's that. Hold on. Where is Shay? So there's another decision that needs to be made. We'll get into it. And it is, we're getting there. I promise we're getting to the colors. I promise. So this is a classic professional watercolor palette format. So I'll show you another. Typically you see them black, right? And typically, this is actually handmade palette, handmade watercolors. Typically the interior tray is silver. Can you see that? Let's see if I can get her out. So typically black outside, white interior, silver tray. Nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's the professional standard for this type of half pan, full pan palette, right? And of course, this little flappy do. And this is all mixing space. Okay. Now I you know, have to buck the system. Apparently, it's just my mojo. So mine opens up. This flap is going to be gone. It was supposed to be gone for the prototype, but it's going to be gone for reals. So my tray is rose gold. I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited about it. Can't even handle it. So it's just a little detail. It's super silly. Can you see it? Can you see how pretty she is? There's the rose gold. The screen is going to go blurry if I change the depth. So just keep that in mind. Okay, 12 colors. One of the colors we are changing. I went live on TikTok the other day and decided in that moment that we needed to change one of the colors. I'll share with you what the thoughts are on that, and then you can chime in. Thank you, Melissa, about what the color should be. So I'm going to spray her down, and we're going to get right to it. Gonna get right to it. Okay. Paper. Hello, paper. So what do we think? I kind of feel like I got to be, and of course, now that I sprayed this, I'm going to flip it over. I want them to spray this rose gold as well. And when I say spray, it's not like spray paint. It's like a powder coated, super durable. Like the only way you could damage this coating is if you took like a razor blade to it, which, you know, we're not going to be doing, right? So I want this to be rose gold too, just because I'm extra. I honestly want the whole thing to be rose gold, but I think they're going to just poo-poo that. My manufacturing company, I'm pretty sure they think I'm insane. But they, you know, they just do what I ask. But I do everything so different, and they just keep questioning me. And I'm like, I know, just trust me. Just trust me. Oh my God, I can't handle it. Thank you, Emily. Not silly. Makes it more fun to paint with pretty. Yes, makes it more fun to paint with pretty. I love that. I love the other flap gone. I don't use it. And I always, yes. Okay, Gail, you brought up such an amazing point. For me, the flap, and that's honestly why I often use vintage palettes and tins that aren't actually made for watercolor, because I like to bump my palette right up next like this, especially when I'm filming, but even just when I'm painting for myself. Like, I really like to bump it right up next to. And that flap, no, it just doesn't work. So I'm so over the flap. I just can't. And like my manufacturer was like, really, like it's for mixing. And I'm like, no, trust me. Just trust me. We don't need the flap. Anywho, let's swatch. These are in no particular order yet. And I'm gonna, as I swatch, I'm going to explain why I chose the colors I did. This is one of my favorites. This was one that when I did all my polls across all the platforms was a clear favorite. I'm using the 1/4-inch dagger, rinsing in between, of course, and letting things bump. Love the size. Can drop it, brushes and small pen in my Mary Poppins bag and go. That's right. Yay. I'm so glad other people are happy about the flap leaving. Flap be gone. Yes, flap be gone. I hate it. I just hate it. Sorry, that's a strong word, but I do. Okay, I forget what I was saying. Anywho, look at that. Love that. So I'm going to do some experiments so you can see the magic and how these colors mingle. But for right now, we're just doing straight up swatching. These are convenience colors for the most part, in the fact that while many of these colors could be mixed from basics, the mixing process would be labor intensive, requiring 3, 4, 5 plus, most of these plus steps to actually mix these colors. Some of these colors could not be mixed. They literally, they just need to exist, manufactured, and that's it. So, so it's a very curious collection because of that. This collection, it's the Art for Joy's Sake palette because it's meant to give you a lot of freedom in how you approach your artwork. You're not going to have to spend a lot of time mixing colors, mixing basics. And then on top of that, you're going to have all these glorious non-basics. Speaking of non-basic, we do have a fluorescent in here. I feel very strongly about this fluorescent. And if you are questioning my choice of fluorescent, I will guaranteed have you convinced by the end of this live. Guaranteed. That blue, just ridiculous. Okay, let's talk about the quality. These are a dye-based watercolor, which is wonderful for several reasons. There's slight drawbacks, but we'll talk about it. Dye-based watercolor are typically more intense, more saturated. They are more, as a general rule, more light fast than traditional watercolor pigments, which is wonderful. You get the intensity, but you get a higher staining personality from these colors because they are so intense and just the way they're formulated. A couple of reasons why they stain. So what does that mean? What does staining mean to you? If you paint, come back 24 hours later and you want to do some lifting, you're never going to fully be able to lift the most intense area of your color 100%. However, lifting is doable with these colors, and I'm going to show you. This is the swatch that I made. I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to do this one. I did this one over 48 hours ago, and I want to show you the lifting capabilities, even though these are high staining colors. How's everybody doing? Can you hear me? Can you see me? And here we go. So we can lift these colors. They do lift. And this is more than 48 hours. So I'm really proud of the fact that the staining effect isn't so intense that you cannot use these like traditional watercolors. These colors function very much like traditional watercolor. So there you go. Here's another example of the lifting that happens with these. Where'd it go? So this swatch I did, this was 10 hours out. I let them dry 10 hours and then lifted. And you got an even more intense lifting. So this was 10 hours here, which I think is pretty darn fantastic. This was more like 24, 36 hours. So of course, with any pigment, the longer you let it sit, the harder the lifting will be. But good stuff, good stuff. Okay, 12 colors, but we only have 11 here. So let me tell you a story about, and I'll swatch her, about color number 12 and why we're eliminating her. She's lovely. I mean, gorgeous. She was one of the favorites. But here's the thing. She is easily mixed in about 2 steps. So I took the stance that if a color can be easily mixed in about 2 steps, that I am going to not have that color be in the set. Because it felt like 2 steps wasn't, now of course I won't be able to mix this color now that you're all watching me. But because I don't want this process to feel laborious for you. There it is. I don't want it to feel like you're just having to mix colors all the time. That I wanted the set to be all about convenience and joy. Love the dye-based colors. I need the intensity. Me too. What about the last color? Yeah. This is the one that's going bye-bye because you can mix it so easily. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on what we should replace that color with. I'm going to do a little painting here. I actually want to go bigger. So bear with me as I get some paper out. Yeah, so let me know what you think that color should be. When I went live the other day, folks were saying the general consensus was a Payne's gray or a neutral tint. Because, and I can get down with that. Because though a neutral tint especially can be pretty labor intensive to mix. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Yes, so an orange, but I will show you in a few moments why I don't think we need an orange. Can also, there's some gorgeous oranges that can be mixed so easily with this set. But I will tell you, I did have an orange in this set initially. I was going to do the fluorescent was going to be an orange. But I made a last minute decision to change that to yellow because we really needed a yellow because you cannot mix a yellow. Just doesn't work that way. So we'll show you right now what we can do with oranges. I mean, you get the most glorious orange. You'd never expect it. This is the thing I love about fluorescents, friends. Your need for a fluorescent in your palette is so unexpected. Payne's gray, yeah. Yeah, here's the colors. All swatched out. This one was swatched weeks ago. But there they are. Maybe I'll just put this one right here. And we'll put this here so you can see. So you can get a glorious orange, not to worry, very easily. Just doing leaves, just easy breezy, big bold leaves with my 3/4 inch wash brush. And what I love, what you can see instantly here, is this palette, while at first glance is very bold, it very quickly mixes down easily, effortlessly to the most gorgeous muted neutrals. I'm glad you chose yellow. Yellow is my favorite color. I love fluorescence. I love this peach. Did I do the teal? I don't know. We'll do it again. This is a lovely little painting exercise. It's so simple. It's so basic in approach, but there's nothing basic about the way this exercise makes one feel. Just to create this organic traveling cluster of leaves is so good. I do love. It will be available in March. I do think they'd be great for painting animals. Yes. Yes, actually, you can add a few half pans going the other direction, I believe. I was experimenting, hold on, with this. Yeah, so I would, put a magnet on them, but they will fit. Yeah, that one has a magnet. That's a good example. Just put a little magnet on the bottom. You'll be good to go. Fits right in there. I'm actually going to just leave that one right there for example purposes. Let's see. Your color selection is perfect. Thank you, Shireen. Absolutely love it. Thank you. A leaf green would be the yellow. Yeah, let's do it. Oh, just wait. I'm telling you, friends, what you can do with this palette. I didn't even, I've had the samples. Here we go with the teal. I've had the samples. I've been playing with them, but it wasn't until I got the final selection and the final, some of these colors like had to be reformulated, and because I was so picky. And there it is. And when I got it in my hands, I was like, good heavens to Betsy. There's just so much fun in here and so much unexpected and so much versatility. I can't even handle it. And if you want to tone that down a little bit, I go in with a little bit of peach. I have not named these colors yet, friends, and I'm going to need your help. So how do we feel about that? That's pretty grassy green. Yeah, so pre-orders with Amazon, we can't do pre-orders. These are going to be on Amazon. I am going to make them available for international shipping only on christyrice.com. No shimmers. No, I am just not a shimmer person. I feel bad. Now, maybe, maybe in future palettes, because there are future palettes already swirling around in my head, maybe we'll do some shimmers. I want to do this. Tropical names, yes. Yeah, good question. How much is it going to be? So, this is definitely something that I am still figuring out, because the probably the easiest brand to compare these two would be Art Philosophy, in, you know, in the size, the amount of pigments, and so on and so forth. But in terms of cost, they can't be compared to Art Philosophy, because these are custom colors, custom formulated. We have the custom tin. There's just been a lot of upgrades, and it's looking like I'm going to be including a brush with this palette. I am working on that as we speak. So this palette is probably going to be, it's definitely going to be in the 30s. I'm just not sure exactly where. But I am working on a travel brush to include, which I'm super dupes excited about. I'm just showing you the ways that you can mix on the page and what happens with these colors. Like, look at that. Look at that. So that was a little bit of teal, a little bit of red, and it turns into this magical purple. So good. Yay, travel brush. Is it March yet? Yeah, I know it's upside down. I don't want to completely unearth the whole session and reconfigure my, I'm not sure what's happening, but that's why I'm painting this way. So it's organic, doesn't really matter. And I just flipped everything upside down for my view so that you can still see. All right, I'm going to put this aside. I'm probably going to bring it back. I want to do some fun stuff to really show you the versatility of this palette. And also, I just want you to be aware, I was doing this on the TikTok live that I did earlier in the week. And people were like, I didn't realize you could mix on a palette, on a paper like that. Sorry, it's time for Coke Zero. And I was like, yes, you can mix on a palette or on a page. Wait, you'll just see. You'll see what I mean. And I'll be able to talk more about why I chose the colors I chose. All right, let's just go through these colors and talk and think about what we might want to get out of them. But again, remember, my goal here was joy. My goal here was convenience. And so I also want versatility. So let's start with the red. Let's add some peach to the red. My peach is a little dirty. And let's see what happens. Let's get in some fluorescent here. See what happens. This is pretty exciting. When you start to see the stuff that can happen in these color families with some simple mixing, it's pretty exciting. And this is what I was thinking. If there's a color that you'd like me to see mix with this palette, just call it out. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the mixability. Yeah. Thank you. They are being labeled watercolors because of the low staining quality. They're not heavily staining. Yeah, it's a fiery or a slightly orangey red. Green. Oh yeah, we are gonna do greens. Oh, don't you worry, Kathy. I keep creating. That is not a problem. All right, let's just keep going through this color family. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, so good. I am painting right now on just Canson XL. Super, super simple paper. Going in with a little purple so you can see some of the craziness that can happen with that. Going back up here with more peach. Blend it out. Also, let's just look at how they travel. They almost are as explosive as inks, which is another reason I went with a dye-based watercolor, because I need my watercolors to move and explode. So love that. Yeah. Landscapes. Yeah. When you say March, you mean March 1st. I wish I meant March 1st. With these colors, you can go spring, summer, winter. Yes. I'm so excited that it feels as versatile to you as I hoped. Is the screen blurry? Great question, Gina. So they dye-based watercolors are typically more light fast than the more unstable colors of like professional brands. Let's say this. Lightfast is such a big question, and I am not someone to do all the testing and all that kind of crazy stuff. There are a lot of people on YouTube that do the testing, and obviously they haven't tested my colors, but I will say this about Lightfastness, and my manufacturer has done the testing. For true color shifts to happen, whether it's a color shift or a value shift, when something is extremely light fast or almost fugitive, which is very, very not light fast, you have to put your painting under extreme duress. And what I mean by that is like literally full UV sun exposure for 8+ hours a day for months and months and months and years and years and years to even see some shift. Now, some pigments, and let me just say this, all brands experience color and value shift, even Daniel Smith, Winsor & Newton. And then obviously some brands experience significant shifts. These are going to be moderate to highly light fast, depending on the pigment. But again, you're not going to notice value shifts, and you're not going to notice color shifts in any significance unless you're putting these pigments under extreme duress. So, and even then, it's not going to be discernible to most people. If you're super duper picky and you notice a lot of things, and you actually did a test that you kept in the dark and you compared it to the one you put in the UV, you might notice like a slight shift, but for the most part, no. Yeah, absolutely. Red velvet for the red. Okay. So that's that color family. Let's go into the blues, because there's some crazy cray that we can do with these blues. So another thing that was important to me, and it's a weird thing that I wanted, was when these colors were lightened up with water, I wanted them to still feel velvety and somehow creamy. Does that even make sense? And so you'll notice, look at that. When they blend out, they're sheer, but there's a richness to them as they blend out. And that was super important to me. And notice these mixes, these blends are happening with just 1 or 2 strokes, you know, 2 or 3 strokes. Look at that. Look at that. So we did the teal, we did the olive, and we did a little bit of fluorescent. And look at that creamy, gorgeous green. Portrait, yeah, you could definitely, there's a lot of definitely Caucasian portrait colors for sure. I am using my 1/2-inch dagger. And so while this collection is super exciting at first glance because of the brightness, when you get into it, there is so much, it's like a chameleon set. There's so much fun and magic going on that you're just a few strokes away from, which I love. Start with the fluorescent. And let's go here with the olive. I love mixing the peach into colors that you wouldn't expect would be lovely. Canary. So neon canary, I love it. Very pretty. But dyes are very different. Okay, well, dyes alone, yes, but these are dye-based watercolors. So it's a very specific formulation. Yeah. So these are watercolor. So basically pretty much the majority of the, I'm sure you've seen them, Jen Crafts, Mei Ling, Mozart's, Komorebi, those are all dye-based watercolors to some degree. And there's just countless formulations out there, especially with production opening up overseas and whatnot. But these aren't dyes. These aren't straight up classic dyes, and they don't function like dye at all. I know, refill the neons, I know. Why did I add? I love this. Thank you, Kitty Joe. So neons, let's talk about neons. Let's talk about neons because neons get a bad rap. They give us like an 80s flashback that maybe we didn't want. But the thing is, for me, neon added in mindful ways gives a muddy area of your painting a zing. It adds interest and brightness where you thought maybe all was lost, like right there. I went into that muddy color, although it was a lovely muddy color, and I jazzed it up. So for me, I use neons a lot like, I would liken it to like contouring in makeup, like a highlight, what do they call it? Highlighter for makeup, you know, where your cheekbones and it's just a little oomph, little something, something. That's what fluorescents are for me. Do any of them granulate? No. They don't. Now, some of the mixtures where they meet one another and when they dry under certain conditions, you definitely get the granulating vibe. I am working with my manufacturer on granulating because it's something I'm really excited about, but it's going to be a future palette. And now, friends, I want to get back to the whole dye base, the whole thing. Here's the thing. I am not a scientist. I am not an expert on pigments. I am not somebody that gets really excited about digging into all the formulations and all that kind of stuff. But when I went to my manufacturer, what was most important to me was stable pigments that were moderate to highly light fast, but intense pigments. I needed intensity. I also, what was important to me was the watercolor's personality and how it traveled on the page. So I needed a watercolor that really exploded a lot like ink does on a page. And so those were things that were important to me. So while I am not equipped to get into an in-depth conversation about how dyes are formulated and dye-based watercolors are formulated, I can tell you what my mission was in creating these pigments. I can tell you what my quality thresholds were, and I think that that will hopefully resonate with most of you. Yes, a highlight. I guess I should have known neon matches your happy, bright personality. Binder, glycerin, primarily. Makes you think of a poppy, right? Not honey. We can't use honey just because of the instability, and we didn't want the watercolors to be too, they need to travel. And so the softness, once they're cured, is a question. Sorry, reading questions. Popping poppy. So let's go look here. Right here is where I added that fluorescent to this muddy color. And look at that. It just opened up the skies of darkness and led to the light, but in a subtle way. And so that's what I love. Fluorescent can be fluorescent and crazy and bold and what? But it also can be a way to just highlight and add a little zoom zoom in an area that is, feeling a little oomph, right? I love all my sound effects. Apparently, when I'm at a loss for words, look at that. That's pretty. I have to say though, these watercolors have a lovely velvety feel. Like after you spray them, once you get into painting with them, just lovely. And also really important, these are a full half pan. Thank you, Abby. They pastel down. Yes, they pastel down. Exactly. There's a creaminess when you do a full wash. There's a velvety quality. Open the skies of darkness. Sorry. I just ordered your brush set yesterday. Can you? Yes. Yes, they definitely pastel down in a lovely way. Now look right up here. We had some weird cauliflower drying marks, and you can go right in, and this is a cheap paper, friends. And you can get rid of that right away. Look at that. That's what I love. That's why when there's concern over, dyes aren't watercolors, watercolors aren't dyes. If this were a dye, you would not be able to lift that out or scrub out those edges. You just wouldn't. And there you go. And I'm using consistent but extremely light pressure and a lot of water. Now the blue is a little more staining, as you can see. But there you go. Look at that. I took those hard edges right back to a beautiful gradient wash. I'm full of sound effects. A stormy sky with the yellow coming through. That's like a hurricane sky, but still, I'm here for it. I'm down with it. All right, let's, oh my gosh, I want to paint a landscape, but I'd have to paint it upside down. You know what? Let's see if I can do it. Oh, good Lord. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. Here goes nothing. Got a little smudge on here. So I uploaded, just as an aside, as I kind of get myself figured out here, how I'm going to paint this upside down. I uploaded a new video. Normally I upload on Saturday. So for those of you who are watching on Facebook, make sure you check out YouTube because I'm streaming, I'm simulcasting or whatever you call that to both places. But check out YouTube because there's a brand new video that went up late last night as just a way to give you guys some time to get into it and not overwhelm you today with all the lives and all the things. But it's a really good one. I get into sketching, which I know is scary. Challenge accepted. Let me see here. Are you saying they are dye-based, kind of like using Tombow markers as watercolor? Do I have a Tombow here? I don't know if I do. I don't believe so. No. I'm looking at all these questions. Typically, a dye-based watercolor is a way to, there's a little bit of dye. And again, I am not a scientist. I am not an expert on formulation. I just know I've built a lot of trust with my manufacturer over the last 2 years. And I've given them my requirements and they've provided me with the documentation. But anyway, it's small amounts of dye incorporated into the formulation to kind of give you the one up on the vibrancy, but without having to use as much pure pigment, which is more expensive. So it's a way of getting more vibrant color and pigment without taking the price of the set through the roof. Does that make sense? You watched the sketch video. Awesome. I'm glad you loved it. Hello, Jillian. Yeah, the color, the Lightfastness is typically dye-based is more light fast than even the moderate Lightfastness of a professional brand. So only one neon, and here's why. Here's why. I chose yellow because you cannot mix yellow. It's a primary. And I chose yellow also because it can literally be mixed with every last blessed color and it produces such joyful effects. I'm going to show you that in a minute. But first, I'm accepting my own challenge of painting this landscape. It's going to be a very simple landscape. I actually did. You guys want to see a preview? I have a landscape video going live on Monday. I didn't do it with this palette, but I do a step-by-step modern landscape. We did kind of the mountainous, green, foresty, and then I did this. So you get a little view. But anyway, you really only need one neon because you just mix it with one other color and you've got a whole new color. So for convenience sake, for mobility, for budget sake, you really only need a neon yellow. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment that they're similar to Dr. P.H. Martin's liquid watercolors in pans. That's a fair assessment. Mm-hmm. Although I will say these watercolors travel more than Dr. P.H. Martin's. I've always been a little discouraged by the amount of, or the lack of traveling and explosiveness. Yeah. Is it blurry? Really? Let me see here. Is that better? It's not blurry on my side. I'm looking at my computer screen and my other screen. I've got like 3 screens going here. All right, let's see what we can do here. Don't judge me. Upside down landscape. All because I am technologically ungifted. Oh, goodness. But yes, lots of greens, lots of just the full range of colors that you can make here with, oh, it's not too shabby. I'm looking back at my computer screen to see what the heck I'm doing. That you can make with this palette. And I do think it's going to be just lovely for landscapes. I am painting upside down. The radiant line. Okay. You like the pigment line more. Gotcha. Wendy, not sure what the hang up is with dye-based. People adore Kuretake, industry standard for Japanese style watercolors. Yeah. I love shimmers, but only tiny amounts. Yeah. I know. I recommended Kuretake Gunzi Tambe for years, and I still recommend them. But I also, now I'm in love with Mozart's Komorebi palette, and that is dye-based and just spectacular. So, yeah. I honestly do not like liquid watercolor either. I have yet, I need to try Ecoline, but I've yet to find one that I like. Yeah, not a fan. So I'm right there with you. Right there with you. You know, it's not too shabby for upside down. Not too bad. I'm literally only mixing on the page here. So it's just loosey-goosey, modern, expressive landscape. Fast and loose sky here. All being done with the the 1/2 inch dagger. I'm a fan of very many paints in Massachusetts. I didn't like Arteza. I have never tried Arteza. I'm so glad you love. You do get gold in your Gunzi Tambi. I know. Although it's not a great gold. It's not very saturated. Yeah, just put a pan of gold in here. You'll be fine. Yeah, people get nervous with dye base because of Lightfastness, but do some research on dye based Lightfastness. There's a lot of misconceptions out there. And I'll tell you a story. I told this story in my live on TikTok. I'm gonna tell you, and I use all sorts of paints, friends. I'm literally like a paint collector. So I tell this story from a place of like extreme experience with a variety of brands over a 30-year span, 30 plus year. My mom has a sun porch, and she's had it since I was a little girl. And she has all the walls on this sun porch are lined with my paintings. Lined, right? And they're from all different stages of my art making. Sorry, I'm reading comments. So, you know, there's paintings there that are like 30 plus years old of mine. There's paintings there that are 2 years old of mine. So, and there are, you know, dye-based watercolors, there's acrylics, there's professional watercolors, there's artwork that's not even behind glass. Like, I kid you not. And exposure is through the roof because it's a sun porch, right? And even my 30 plus year old paintings, now the 30 plus year old paintings are behind glass, but not UV glass. There's no fading. There's nothing discernible to the eye. Now, if I had taken a photo of that painting 30 years ago and put it side by side a photo today in the same exact lighting, would you notice probably a value shift a little bit? Maybe like a 3 or 4% value shift? Yes. So what I'm saying is this: all of this light fast talk to me has always boggled my mind. I think it's more of a fear factor than actual reality in a lot of ways, because when you hear, oh my gosh, your artwork could fade and it's not archival and da 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 da, it's more of the fear of like your artwork disappearing and you wake up one day and it's a white page and it's faded so horribly. And that to have something like that happen, you'd have to paint an entire painting with truly fugitive colors. And you can go look up, like Winsor & Newton has a few fugitive colors that literally over a few years time can turn white on a page. But and don't just take my word for it on Lightfastness. Go onto YouTube. There are a lot of people doing light fast tests with professional brands, with dye-based brands. And honestly, you're probably using watercolors. If you collect watercolors at all, you're probably using some dye-based. You don't even know it. So back to the YouTubers that are doing light fast tests. When they show you the results of their tests, I have a hard time sometimes seeing the shift. A very hard time. So don't stress yourself out about it. It's way more hype than is really needed. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that, but that's just been my experience. I have not ever had something. I basically just keep my paintings out of the sun, and that's it. The clunkiness of the bottles. Yeah. Yes, exactly. The bottles take up a lot of space. Have you done your own light fast yet? Yes. Dyes, 100% dye is not as light fast, but when it's formulated with pigments and in different ways, it can be quite light fast. My art won't be in museums, but I have a great life making beautiful paintings every day. I'm so happy with the palette vibrant colors and the color 12 color. Ooh, the comments are going by so fast. I've seen paintings that my great aunt did with homemade watercolor and dyes that still look fantastic, and they were done over 60 years ago. Friends, read that message there. That's so important. I understand the questions about the dye base and pigment feel important. However, overthinking it might steal your joy. I have no problem answering the questions. I really don't. Thanks, Michelle. You know, it is what it is. It's upside down. It's not my best work, but you know, it's fun. I actually would challenge you to do that for yourself. Paint upside down. It completely flips your thinking. Yeah. Yes, there is pigment in true watercolor. Each color is made up of pigment names and their coordinating colors. Dye base are what's used in ink and what, right. Um, so depending on the formulation, depending on the product, there's going to be different ratios of dye to pigment. So what I'm saying is that dye-based watercolors, depending on the manufacturer, are going to have different ratios of dye to pigment, which is why Lightfastness, you can't just say dyes are not light fast. You have to know more about the formulation and the ratios of dye to pigment. Whew. Anywho. They're dye based. They're not dyes. Oh boy. Yeah, I knew people are gonna come after me for the whole dye based thing. So just think of it in ratios. So um dyes, 100% dye is not going to be light fast. But if you use dyes to up the ante on the vibrancy of a watercolor formulation, you're going to benefit from the balance of the light fastness from the watercolor formulation. All true watercolors list their pigments that are contained in their watercolors. Well, I guess I'm not true watercolors, and I don't care. Remind us why you wanted to make the palette again, please. I think it's important. Thank you. So friends, I created this palette for a number of reasons. Number one, I wanted you to feel a sense of joy. I didn't want you to get tangled up in mixing colors unless you wanted to. So I wanted to give you the versatility and the immediacy of gorgeous colors as is if you never wanted to mix. But I also wanted to give you the wow factor of if you did want to get into some mixing, you could create an endless amount of options very easily. I wanted these to be affordable, and I did want these to be stable. These are stable colors. You can feel confident in using these and giving them as a gift to someone, painting something with it, giving it as a gift, and know that it's not going to fade on their wall. It's just not. I did not create these for professional artists. These are not for professionals. These are for folks seeking joy. These are for folks dabbling in watercolor. These are for folks that want something to shake their art. Maybe they've been doing art for 5-10 years. They want a little something fun to shake things up. So I'm not putting on any airs about what these watercolors are and who they're meant for. I'm not trying to hide the fact that, you know, there's dye in these watercolors. Yep, that's why I said they're dye based. I've never hid the fact either that I manufacture my products in China. I've gone very public about that, and I will stand behind that. And here's the reason. I've been working with a handful of manufacturers. I've got a bunch of different products in development. And let me tell you what, these are people, these are family-owned businesses that I work with. These are people that have families that literally they support with what they do, just like us in the US of A. We have families that we support with what we do, and so do they. They send me gifts. I send them gifts for Chinese New Year. It is a lovely, beautiful relationship. So these products are proudly designed in the USA and proudly manufactured in China. There's such a misconception about made in China. But that's a whole other live stream. Anywho. Yes. And I do believe I'm giving the best quality possible for the price point. I've been painting for 27 years. Awesome. I love all mediums. I buy a lot of paint from China and Korea. I love to paint from I love paint from every country. I love that. Thank you. Thanks, Wendy. Thank you. To me, this palette will be my feel good. Don't stress the small stuff and just enjoy painting. Brush to paper palette. Awesome. If something lasts 50 years that you sell, then the buyer should be fine. Yeah. Let's look at it this way. How many of us will make paintings that people will care about in 100 years? I don't think it matters that much. I will say this too, and you can, Jenna Rainey has talked about this. You can find a lot of information about this. Daniel Smith has a tremendous amount of fugitive colors, very low light fastness, colors that you would not even believe shift so easily under moderate circumstances. Thanks, Christine. Yeah, no, these are definitely more than craft paints you would get at Michael's. There's not a lot of filler. They're extremely vibrant. They do not act like dyes. We just rely on a somewhat of a dye formulation for affordability and, sorry, I'm reading comments as they go by. Okay. Friends, I so honor your concerns about light fastness. If you are concerned about if light fastness is paramount to you and you are selling your paints professionally on a regular basis, probably don't want to use this palette. Let's just leave it there. Many of these colors are what I'm using, mixing for my florals. Thank you. These will be fun. I'm looking forward to the dye-based watercolors. The look they produce is so different. Thanks, Savannah. Just be careful with the professional palette that you have, because there are a variety of light fastness that creep into Winsor Newton, Daniel Smith. It's not as straightforward as a quote unquote professional palette equals high light fastness. What colors do I think I'll use the most? Thank you, Karen. Yeah, a painting for joy's sake. Answer the light fast questions and comments. Yes. This palette, again, I mentioned it earlier, is not for professional painters who, let me say this, if you need a mental break, if you need a just for fun palette as a professional, like literally you're selling $30,000 plus a year of your artwork, then this palette could be for you. But would you, as a professional, would you choose this palette over your Winsor and Newtons or your Daniel Smiths? No. No, I never made those claims. They're not being. Did I say they were being sold as light fast? I've not. There's no light fastness ratings on my packaging. I'm so glad you're learning to enjoy watercolors. Anywho, I'm going to keep painting. Someone asked what color I think I'm going to use the most, and it's probably going to be this peach and the pink. I love what they do when you mix them with other colors. Correct. You can't go by what the tube says either. That's why I've done my own Lightfast testing over the last 2 years. Thank you. Thank you, Britt Brat. Thank you. I appreciate that. I know this is a loaded. I knew this was eventually going to happen. The Lightfastness question is it's emotion filled. So there's no hard feelings. I am open to the questioning, but at the same time, I am an open book, and just please be careful about accusing someone of being potentially misleading in their business practices, because that's a big claim. So that's all I'm going to say about that. March can't get here soon enough. I also love this olive. Got to be honest. Make sure I'm not going off screen here. I adore this olive. I'm happy to answer any other questions that you have. If you have more Lightfast questions, please let me know. We have, these will be available on Amazon for domestic shipping, christyrice.com for international shipping in March. We have about 5 inches of snow right now. It just keeps coming in small waves. I'm glad you're willing to expand your color horizons, Lori. Thank you. Christy is a peach. I love it. Sorry you got to experience sassy Christy a little bit. You know, it happens. I will say the more my YouTube channel grows, the more opportunities I have to control my sass. Lots of opinions flying out there. Lots of opinions. Friends, if you are watching this on the replay, I invite you to ask questions in comments. I answer all questions. Sassy Christy is great. How many different painting projects do you have going at a time? It's really insane. Personal projects, usually about 20. And, but I mean, at any given time, I probably have 10 things going on my desk in addition to that 20. that, you know, I'm doing YouTube tutorials or filming something for TikTok. So it's a lot. And yeah, friends, if you have questions, doesn't have to be about the palette, ask away. Thank you, friends. I appreciate your support. The older I get, the more sass comes out to play. Yes. So on the back of the package, there's going to be a QR code. You're going to get access to an hour tutorial, private access. It won't be a public video. I just want to paint something that is recognizable. Your videos help me in my painting journey. Aw, love a sassy paintbrush. Thank you. Yes, but yes, so there will be a lot of tutorials beyond that. There will be public tutorials as well. Love your channel. I've learned so much. Can't wait to get your palette. Thank you. If that's what you consider sassy, you're an angel. Yeah, honestly, I was like getting a little like flushed in my like throat, and like my face was flushing because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting so sassy. But yeah, that's sassy for me. Gail, I like sassy Christy too. What took you so long? Sass away. You were amazing. Bounce. Thank you, Brett. There's nothing wrong with these watercolors whatsoever, and I appreciate your transparency. Nothing is wrong with dye-based products. I feel like my paintings will come out looking super grainy and flat. Am I using too much water? Taylor, can I ask you a few questions? What palette, what watercolor are you using, and what paper? Let me know those 2 points and I can answer your question. Sassy is good. Call the palette sassy. How would I make a deep red? Yeah, great question. Let me move this on over. So I would start with that. I would just do a little dab just on the corner of my brush. You know me, I like to mix on the paper. And I would see how that feels. I would do a little bit of the green. Let's do the teal. There she is. It's kind of like a burgundy if you wanted to jazz that up a bit, bring in some of that pinky opera rosy color. If it's starting to feel too rusty, bring some of the red back in. That's a good start. I think this is where a Payne's Gray could actually really come in handy. That's why I'm thinking I'm leaning towards that for the 12th color. Here we go. Yeah, I know. I need to figure out these. No, don't be sorry you brought it up. Friends, listen, I knew Lightfastness was going to come up, and I knew there was going to be sassy opportunities because folks that are concerned about Lightfastness tend to have really strong parameters about paints they use and their Lightfastness. And so I get it. And there are a lot of pigments on the market that aren't being transparent about their Lightfastness. So I am not going to be one of them, but I get it. I get the pricklies about it. You're right, Laura. I appreciate that. The olive green. Everyone has a black or a Payne's gray. Can we request flower tutorials? What is a love in the mist flower? Oh, can you email me a picture? Just hello@christyrice.com. I don't know what that is. Your painting style is so distinctly you. How do beginning artists develop their own style? Oh. So, as a beginning artist, the first thing I'll say, I'm sorry, friends, I gotta turn my heater towards me or I'm gonna turn into an icicle here. Ooh. So the first thing I'll say about developing your own style as a beginning artist is that don't spend a lot of time worrying about developing your own style as a beginning artist as you're still kind of grappling with the basics. Does that make sense? Because you've got so much going on in your brain as a beginner. And, you know, obviously, I don't know exactly what your definition of beginner is, but you've got so much to grapple with. I think I like to think a lot about in the Renaissance, let's say, how did one become an artist? They what's that called? Oh my gosh, I forget the name of when you were an apprentice. There we go. You were an apprentice, right? So think about it this way. How are you going to figure out what makes you you if you haven't tried a lot of the things? I will tell you something, and I don't want it to be discouraging, but I know I've shared this before and a lot of people have been discouraged by it, but I caution you to not be. I did not find my style until I had painted for a very long time. That's not the case with everyone. It's not. But that has been my experience. I'm just experimenting here with dark, dark, dark. So I'm mixing the blue with the brown. These colors really need names for the love to see what happens. I did not discover my style for a very long time. Now, look at someone like Jenna Rainey. We all know Jenna. She discovered her style, I think, just as an outsider looking in. I want you to see how intense these colors can layer. Just really cool. You know, I felt like she was an invitation designer to start. She developed her style pretty quickly. I was a bit more of a dabbler. I just could never settle. I was always trying things. I was always finding different types of art, different artists, different approaches that I was constantly playing with and dabbling with. And so I think if you have to listen to your instincts. If you feel a strong pull towards a certain style right now, follow that instinct and just repetition. You don't have to constantly be doing drills to develop your style, but if you do work in a good number of drills every day, every time you sit down to paint, in addition to painting final paintings, I think you can develop your style pretty quickly. But don't be hard on yourself if you're kind of a, you know, bouncing all over the place type of artist like I was, right? I eventually found my style, but it took a lot longer. Hey, Chance, happy birthday. I hope you can hear me. I love that name. How old are you? Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you're watching with your mom. What are you doing for your birthday? Are you painting? You should be painting. Happy birthday painting, right? We are all apprentices with being able to access wonderful artists such as you through your YouTube channel. I'm catching up with comments. Sorry, friends. Yes, shimmers. I know I have to do a shimmer palette, even though I don't use them. But, well, we do use them in different ways. Those leaves are just what we needed to see in action in color swatches. Yes, I think so. I'm a big fan of exploring a palette through a painting, not necessarily color swatching, but I think they'll be lovely in the books. Yes. Okay. Taylor, using the Canson XL with the blue cover. That's what I was using prior to this. Okay, paint is Artistro. I would actually use, so I think if you're getting a grainy effect, I want you to try this. I want you to spray down your palette before you use it. And I am talking like, get in there, spray it like water goes everywhere, like spray it like you mean it. Let those sit. I have that set. It's on my wall in a cabinet. I've used it. They sent it to me. It's a lovely set. It is a little bit chalky. I'm not sure what their formulation is like, but there's some additives going on there that can make things a little grainy. But I found that spraying the crap out of your palette, sorry, Chance, can really change things for how your pigments play on paper. So try that for me. Spray, let them sit for like a minute. Like you should literally have little puddles in each pan, and see if that changes things for you. Awesome question, Laura. Wait, what question did Laura have? Oh yeah, about the style. Laura, was that helpful or was that just discouraging? I hope it was helpful. Okay, Susie QB. I'm a beginner and love painting and I'm confused about paper. The one I picked up is thick and not real white and hard to get the paint to flow. What's the brand on that, Susie? Sorry, I can't believe I said CRAP, but it's just how I am. Yeah, spray them out of it. Oh my gosh, Wendy, really? You were painting with your 3-year-old grandson and you told you needed to spray the palette and make it juicy. I love it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the turquoise with the purple leaf, right? That's fun, right? I dig it. And I really didn't get thick. It's not like I applied the paint thickly. I just kept dabbing it in wet on wet and letting it build up and settle into the paper there. And that is a way that I paint. I will very quickly build up pigment in an area to get intensity. And so that was another important thing that these paints needed to do for me. For sure. Yeah, so I know that can be discouraging, Laura, to hear that. Is there a style that you keep going back to? Is there someone that you keep watching that you're just really invested in? Or is there an artist, even an artist of history that you just are drawn to? Because if so, settle into that for a little while, like go there for a while and hang out there and paint in that knowledge for a while. I think really listening to your instincts, your visual instincts can be a great way to really hone in quicker on your style. I'm going to do some muted background stuff here. My guess, Susie, is that the paper has much lower cotton content. I'm not familiar with that brand. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but often it's like a cellulose cotton blend for paper that's not 100% cotton. Probably has quite a high cellulose content. And that's when, if you almost feel like the water and the pigment is resisting you, it's probably because there's just not enough cotton in the paper. So you might even be better off with a Canson, the Canson XL, to be honest. I am holding this brush really high up on the handle to purposely not get a lot of like tediousness in my stroke. It's a great exercise for you, just to force yourself to hold that brush up high. It's cheap brand. Yeah. That's probably why you're just getting a lot of resistance, because there's not enough cotton. So try, don't throw out the paper, get through it, use it, spray it down really well. Spray it down with water before you use it. Let it soak up that water a little bit and start painting when it's damp, when the paper is still damp, not soaking, but damp. And then try something a little bit higher content, cotton content, and you will really notice a difference. We'd be offering a larger color palette, like 48. I definitely have 24 in mind. Who knows? Down the road, anything could happen. Yes, you can definitely mix these with other brands for sure. Yep. There's not gonna be any resisting. Let me see what I have here. I'll just show you. I'm working on my Winsor & Newton palette. It's still very much in the works, but I'll grab that. I still have a bunch of tubes to get going. I'm telling you, I literally collect watercolor pigments, and I've been doing that for decades. So I have a lot of, well, I may not have a lot of scientific experience. I have a lot of in real life experience with pigments and how they function and what they do and all the things. So this is Winsor & Newton Professional Series. Let's just spray down a little section. And let's get it going here. There's my pigments. They play rather nicely. I'm gonna grab some Naples. I love Naples because it's got a little bit of opacity, creaminess to it. I love how it interacts with other pigments. There's my purple. They just play nice. They just play nice. A little bit of, I think that is cerulean. And look at that. Gorgeous. So there you go. Yeah. See you create a 48 set of joy. Was the plan originally for a bigger pan count? Yes, it was. I'll show you to remind you, so you know you're not losing your mind. This was the original palette. Different artwork. I'm actually thinking about selling this one empty, so we'll see. And these are just some of my tester pigments, just some. Yeah, so it was originally a 24, but I decided to go 12. I'm a real beginner, but so far I love it. Yeah, so just a tip, you've probably heard it before. It's probably nothing new, but I got to say it or I couldn't sleep at night. paper is so much more important than anything else, in my opinion. So you could be using Crayolas or the Artist Loft set from Michaels. But on arches, you're going to have a completely different experience than if you use those on, sounds like maybe what you're using now, not the best quality. So yes, I collect. Oh, happy 7th birthday, Chance. So cool. I love it. I'm so glad you're here with us. Yes, sell the bigger one empty. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, definitely more portable. And I just, the bigger set was going to be more costly for everybody involved. So I was trying to be super mindful of that as well. Yeah, going back to all of this talk of Lightfastness and professional and not, I don't teach professionals. I'm not in this art world. I'm a professional and I sell my artwork and I license my artwork, but that's not what I'm teaching you to do. If that's what you end up doing, hallelujah, that's awesome. But I am here just to get your feet off the ground. I am here to teach you how to motivate yourself. I am here to help you understand how you can't wait for motivation. I am here to give you permission to hate mixing color and to just use convenience colors all the live long day. I am here to give you permission and to give you a vehicle and a means to really deep dive into your joy. That's why I'm here. And I never put on airs about who I'm for and why I'm for you. Permission to paint and play. Yes. I wish you could paint every day. I do paint every day, just not on YouTube or Facebook. Kitty, you're not the only person who said that to me. Just one thing to note about arches. I talked about it. I'm not sure where you're watching from, but I talked about this in the community section on YouTube. If you are using this arches, just know that it is different from big sheets of arches that are just loose and block. I don't care what the company says. I have gone public in saying this, and a tremendous amount of people agree with me. This arches I don't like it. I bought it again recently. We used it when they first started putting it out like this. We started using it at our invitation design studio, and we were very confused because we got so excited because it's more affordable than the blocks. Wow, brain. But we were like, yeah, it's not the same. It may start as the same pulp, but there's something going on that changes it. And obviously it's so much more affordable. So why the company would say it's the same exact paper, just in a different pad versus block. Yeah. Yeah. Fabriano. I really love, again, Fabriano, I only use Fabriano Artistico in the big sheets that I cut down. I love it. Yeah, no, that arches is terrible. I'm not a fan. When I use arches, I only use sheets that I cut down, or now this is the rough, but the block. That's my arches. And my favorite arches, the one that I think really outperforms everything, but it's so ridiculously expensive, is the 600 GSM or 300 pound. It's amazing, but it's ridiculous. That's why I recommend Academy. I did a whole video on it. If you haven't seen it, it's called The Joyful Beginner on YouTube. It was posted about 2 or 3 weeks ago, a month ago maybe. And I talk all about why Academy is my go-to now for day-to-day. And it acts so lovely underhand. but it's a great, it has a great affordability factor. So, all right. So we answered that question about, do these colors mingle with other brands? And they do, they do, they do. Oh gosh, I just ran into the table. What time is it? Ooh. We're gonna wrap this up in the next 10 minutes or so, friends. Yep, block arches, big sheet. Yep. All right, I'm gonna put some things out just as a reminder where we've been, what we've been doing. Now I just stopped in a terrible spot here and created a hard edge for myself. Let's see if I can get myself out of this. And of course I did it with the blue, and the blue is more high staining. And I think there's a way out of this. Well, this has been great fun, friends. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tolerating my sass. Thank you for being so darn excited about what's to come. Yes. Thank you, Lisa. Susie, I'm so glad you're hooked. It's a good thing to be hooked on. Oh, thank you, Mary. Thank you. So happy you're realizing your dreams. Yes, I am, apparently. Macro size flowers and botanicals. Yes, get yourself like a 00, 000 brush. I'm actually designing one right now because I love them. And practice with that brush. Do drills with that brush before you dive into the world of miniatures. Thank you, Mary. I love your sass. I'm looking forward to March 2. Thank you. Woo! Do these glaze well? Yeah, sure. Here, let's look at it. Let's go. No, that's still kind of damp. Let's go right here. Oh, a little bit of glazing action. A little bit more over here. Let's do. There we go. Keep fighting the good fight. Susie, Chris, you are amazing. I love coming to your channel, especially if I'm having a bad day. You make me actually smile. So, oh, thank you, Susie. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Tanya, March, towards the end of March. Yep, they'll be on Amazon. I'm so glad. Thank you so much for your support. Know that I am never going to lie to you. I'm always going to stand behind what I do. Y'all know, I mean, we had a little hiccup with a few cases of the brushes, and we have replaced every single one of them. I'm not going to pretend I'm something that I'm not. And you can count on me for that. I'm honest to a fault. So yeah, so I'm grateful that you're here. I am grateful for the pushback. I'm grateful for the hard questions. Keep asking them. It's got me thinking about some things that I maybe want to add to my packaging. So just keep it coming. Know that I'm here for you. I hear you. I want there to always be an amazing conversation here. So definitely mid-30s. For price. We're just not sure exactly what, because I'm thinking about designing a travel brush that's going to go right in the middle. So around Christy version of a round brush. Yeah. Yeah, I think the glazes are pretty. I'm pleased with the glazes. So thank you. I'm glad you agree. All right, friends. Well, I'm going to wrap it up for today. Thank you so much. Friends, again, if you're watching this on a replay, we want you to get involved in the conversation like you were here. Thank you, Laura. I'm glad you think they're affordable. It's something I'm so worried about. I am not like, the whole money thing makes me so nervous because I don't take lightly people dropping $30 on something I created. So anyway, if you're watching this on replay, friends, please join the conversation. I answer all comments. And I don't just say, thanks, Matt. I mean, I say that sometimes, but if you ask me a question, I'm going to give you a robust answer. So just got a call from Finland from a friend. She asked what I'm up to, and I told her I'm watching my friend Christy, and we are friends indeed. And so I also don't take lightly when I say hello, friends, hello, friend. I feel that watercolor is this kind of, once you get it, once you feel it, once you're in it, you realize that you have a camaraderie with anyone else who's in it and gets it and feels it. So, and that's exactly how I feel. All right, friends, take care. Have an amazing rest of your weekend. And thank you so much. All right. Happy painting.